Hey everyone, welcome back to Under the Finfluence, the podcast all about shark science, where we feature the diverse careers, wild stories, and real lives of our friends and colleagues, the people shaping the shark world.
Hey, Jillian. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to chat about sharks with you.
Us too.
Yeah, we're excited to have you as just kind of like a alum of the shark world. I feel like you're part of the like modern, just like shark like social atmosphere of being, hey, sharks maybe aren't so scary. I feel like you've been a player in the game, and so thanks for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think a lot of times before these episodes, I will be like, oh crap, I have to come up with a shark fact for the beginning. And sometimes, I gotta say, like maybe 80% of the time, Sharks for Kids comes up when I search, like, what are some cool shark facts to bring up? Your website comes up. So,
I love that.
yeah, I mean, great SEO. Good job.
Yeah, I love that. I love that people are using it. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
big thing now is not just like how do I get a virtual lesson or download an activity, but like I want people to use it as a reference, as a resource, and with, all like true science-based facts that they can go to as the site for a reference for the information they need. And that could be kids, adults, teachers, whoever. So I
Yeah.
love hearing that.
It's Sharks for Kids, but it's really like it's general public, like accessible, digestible. So I think you're nailing it. It's not just kids. It's
Mhm.
like it's inviting at the kid level, but it's like a lot of people just that are just research and Google for 20 minutes, and then they're suddenly some master in the subject, or like they're like, I can just like quickly. You don't even Wikipedia. You can just like actually grab some. I mean, Wikipedia is helpful sometimes, but
Yeah. I was really excited. I don't know where it is now, but the last time I looked, I think if you search shark reproduction, we're like number 2 or 3 below, and the other ones are ads. So we're like the top one, whether that's changed or not. And I was like, okay, I think that's really cool. Like we are, because a lot of people are curious about that. Kids always ask, but I think adults are curious as well. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take that as a win because I think that's I don't know, I think that's really cool, and we have a lot of information there and images and everything. And so yeah, I was really excited about that one, that search in particular.
it's
Wait,
like
so who's making an ad about shark reproduction?
I think it's just education. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
there's a
fact-based
shark out there with the
websites.
internet.
Yeah,
Like
there's
fucking
It's
OnlyFins been
OnlyFins. Yeah.
revived. Yeah.
OnlyFins, we're back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so I think it's other sites that have
got it.
education
Okay.
and resources are doing Google Ads, right, to get up there. It's not that they particularly
Yeah.
like, let's hit I'm sure they put a bunch of keywords in that people search, obviously. I just thought it
Right.
was great
Smart.
because we didn't do Google Ads or anything for it. We're just a resource for that information on the internet.
Well, I will say I gave like a talk on sharks in general this past semester to a course, and I was like looking up shark reproduction, and I used your page, and
I
then
love that.
I even brought up quote unquote like virgin birth and all that, and somebody was like that's not real. So like in class, I was like, oh yeah, sharks for kids. So I am like literally using your page.
Oh, I
I
love
might
that.
be your main user now.
Okay.
Subscriber
I love
number
that.
one.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's, all of that information. And I think because sharks are so diverse in the way they're reproducing, and there's so many different, yes, these are kind of the main ways, but oh, there's also this and this. I think it's so fascinating, and we're still learning. So it's an area, and I've been lucky enough to see sharks mate. I've also seen birth. So for me, I think those
Ooh.
are some of the coolest. Yeah. So
You are OnlyFins.
I've seen it. I have
She's
seen
the
it.
camera behind OnlyFins.
I have witnessed
That's
it.
where those facts are coming from.
Yes, yes, it's firsthand
Grounded in truth.
accounts. Yeah.
God.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's get into our fin facts for today. I will go first. So, one thing that I think is really interesting, and we've talked about in the past, is how sharks have that like conveyor belt of teeth, right? So, they're constantly
Mm.
replacing their teeth. But on top of that, they also have enamel on their teeth. It's called fluoroapatite, which is protecting them and keeping them basically from having things like humans have, like cavities. So sharks are obviously using things to protect something that's very important to their life cycle, their ability to eat. And they actually can't really get cavities like we do.
Hey, we don't need to put fluoride in their seawater, huh?
Let's not do that.
We probably are though, right? All sorts of stuff's running in
bro.
there. So
We
sad but
we
true.
got hormones in there, we got feces in there, we got all the kind. Okay,
In the
wait. I got it.
Bahamas, cocaine and caffeine in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
My
yeah.
gosh. Love that. Cocaine sharks. I thought yeah.
How does that affect their teeth?
Yeah.
Like
Doesn't do
cocaine
well for
bear,
you.
cocaine shark. Yeah, that was that effect. Oh geez. Well, at least they lose them quick enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
All
that's
right.
funny because I queued up a tooth fact too because I have this little thing on my desk. We moved recently, so this like came back out onto my desk, and it's a meg tooth that I didn't find it, but I have acquired along the way because it says there's a little like mini like fake plaque on it. It says Megalodon, and my daughter's like, I thought Megalodons were real. I'm like, I mean, yeah, but like, and this is way bigger than a great white tooth. But it's not like that picture when you Google with the scientists and they're standing and like the teeth are like this big, you know? So I was like, anybody that's watching our YouTube channel, boom. Wicked big. Easy to rip your head off for sure. Like humans weren't really overlapping the same time scale necessarily. But yes, megalodons were real. They just weren't flying in Sharknadoes and they weren't eating Blake Lively or whatever. Yeah. Megalodon teeth. That was my fin fact.
For those who are not watching, how big is it as you're holding it up?
It's like the size of your thumb. That's a good one. Like your whole. I don't know. Or your.
How many inches?
I always use that. Yeah, like a centimeter is your pinky. I'm like, what can you? What does everyone? If you don't have thumbs, sorry, dude. But that's what I got. I mean, at least you got one probably. If you don't, then you know what? Your friend next to you has a thumb probably. So 3 inches.
It's what, like 5 inches?
No. Wait. That got
4?
weird. No. 4. Yeah. 3.5. Let me pull out my protractor and I'll make a shape of a circle. And then I'll look at the northwest degree and say it's 3.5 inches. Science.
Okay. I'm crying.
Share that lemon sharks have belly buttons when they're born. It's one of my favorite things to share with kids and adults. People are like, what? Now, it's not a true belly button. It will disappear. It's a belly button scar, an umbilical scar. But I just think having kids or adults realize that they do have more in common with us than they realize. And sometimes those facts help people think differently about sharks. And I don't know, I just think I've gotten to see a lemon shark give birth. So got to see that break off and actually create that belly button scar. So to me, that's one of my favorite facts to share with anybody.
I love it. Makes them sound more cuddly.
Yeah.
Babies, I love, because then it's like the, that's how you know the young of the year would be the umbilicus. Well, for those sharks, I guess, that have the umbilicus.
Yeah.
Well, now that we know that sharks are both cuddly and don't get cavities, Jillian, we'd love to learn more about you and hear about your, I'm sure, windy path to get where you are and a little bit more about where you're going. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
And sharks for kids.
Yes, of course, which is pretty much my whole life now. So yeah, I'm from Maine originally. I was very lucky growing up with parents who loved the ocean. So we weren't too far from the coast. So would go to the beach a lot. And I loved tide pools and snails and crabs and everything. And every year we'd go to Florida for my dad's work. And so
Nice.
we didn't have a ton of money. So we weren't going to Disney. We weren't doing all those things. So we went camping and paddling. And I went on the Crystal River and saw manatees, snorkeled with manatees, snorkeled with my first shark when I was 8 years old, a nurse shark. And at the time it wasn't like, oh wow, I'm not going to go to Disney. It was like, this is really amazing. I'm swimming with these animals. And at that time I went back and got library books and looked up all these animals and we bought books. And so I was just fascinated. And I told my parents when I was 5 that I was going to be a marine biologist, not probably even fully understanding what that meant, but just had heard it and I'm sure they thought it was a phase. Well, it just never went away. It never changed.
Always.
And
Every time.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and so I have photos that my mom kept, drawings I did of the ocean, and yes, there were dolphins in there too. And so just excited about all ocean animals, right? Yes, there were dolphins. And so I just kind of stuck with that. And then through high school, I was kind of more focused on basketball. I knew I wanted to do marine biology, but I was playing basketball. And so I was kind of more focused on where can I go to school to play basketball. And
Nice.
I did that. And then I went, actually, this is not what I wanted because I got to that school thinking, oh, they'll still have a good program. No, they're bio. No, it was not what I wanted. And I had to pause and go, okay, I just made a real big decision and I don't think it was the right one. And so I did transfer schools.
Pivot, pivot.
Yeah, I pivoted hard, and when you're, you're 18 years old, you think you know everything, and so I pivoted and went, "Okay," and then I actually decided to take a semester off of university, which freaked my parents out big because they thought, like, I don't know what they thought I was gonna do, but I got an internship with Moat Marine Lab, and I moved to Florida all on my own,
Very cool.
and like, learned a lot of life skills of how to live on your own because I'd lived in dorms. I'd never had my own
Mm.
apartment or really been responsible for all the things. And so I think that was the best decision, one of the best decisions I've ever made. I learned so much, not just the marine science field, but life skills, which I think really, really was important. And I had been in the marine mammal program, and then they last minute were like, actually, can you do the shark program? Which is what I had wanted. But I was like, I don't care what I do. I just want to get there. And Moat was, Eugenie Clark, and it was this iconic place that I wanted to get to. And I was so excited about the internship, and they moved me to shark stuff. And I was right out in the field catching and tagging. My first shark was a nurse shark. So first shark I ever caught and tagged. And then I got certified to dive, and my first shark I ever dived with was a nurse shark, so they always have a very special place in my heart. And then I did my degree in behavioral biology and marine science, so kind of trying to figure out what can I do. I'm really interested in animal behavior, particularly shark behavior. And then I went off into the world and started doing internships and working on a research vessel and worked with Sylvia Earle, was doing photo, video, kind of was in the Bahamas and Florida, and then I went to Australia, then I went to California, and was just at that point getting as many skills as I could get. Like, what can I try? What do I
Just
really
hungry.
love?
Mhm.
Yeah, and just like, okay, I want to try this. Do I like it? Is it feasible? What do I want to do? And in that time, I realized that as I was doing these trips and traveling to these remote places and doing this cool research and diving and all this stuff, and I had all these photos and videos, sharing it really connected with people, and a lot of people, including my family, were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that. What I've never seen that. What is this?" And oh my gosh, and it kind of like clicked like, "Okay, this is a really cool tool for education, right? And how do I get this stuff in front of more people?" And so that was kind of like my idea of, okay, I really want to do that. And then I started visiting classrooms. My mom's a retired teacher, my friends were teachers. "Hey, can you come talk to
Smart.
kids about sharks?" Of course I can. I would love to.
Mhm.
And then they'd always go, "Hey, do you have an activity sheet? Anything to go with this?" And I was like, "No, but that's a cool idea. You should have one of those. That would be fantastic."
I'll get right
And I,
back to you.
yeah, I'll get
Yeah,
back to you. Like that is a great idea. And
always
I
say
kept,
yes.
right, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, that's a great idea. And I kept talking about, like, wouldn't that be cool? And I turned 30, and my husband went, "Why don't you create that?" And I went, "Maybe I could." And he's like, "Well, you've been talking about it. Why don't you just do it?" And I was like,
That's a good husband.
"Yeah, I'm gonna
Good
do
boy.
it, and you're gonna do it with me." And then recruited some other Derek Burkholder, who was my best friend, and he had just finished his PhD working on tiger sharks and turtles. And then we're like, well, this seems like a business. None of us are we're all scientists. So we got a friend who'd done a lot of business, started his own businesses, was very familiar with that, and went, well, you're going to do this with us too. And Sharks for Kids was born. It was this idea that, and it also came from like, okay, I go to these classrooms, and I've been to Belize, and I'm in fish markets with all these dead sharks, and I come back and I'm heartbroken, and what can I do? And then I go in a classroom, and kids are
Mm.
excited, and they want to help, and they're fascinated by sharks. And every time I did that, it was this feeling of hope. And so I really wanted to harness that. I loved that feeling, and like I wanted to work with more students. And I also realized that kids, we can give them facts and information. Adults were a little bit harder to change our opinions and mindset, right? So
Always.
but kids are sponges, right? And they want to
Yeah.
be part of something. They want to
Yeah.
learn. And so it was really kind of born out of a necessity. Okay, there's a space for this, giving people access. And then also what it was making me feel, and what I like really kind of connected to it in a way that I hadn't connected to anything. And It allowed me to bring my photo, my video work, my research, everything together, that my path had gone like this, and now all of that
Sounds
came together.
your full circle moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, "Oh, I can do all of these things." So
Right.
when people ask, I'm like, I created my own job. I
Yeah,
created
as
this
I
space.
say, you created that full circle moment with
That's
your
amazing.
your very
Yeah.
rich experiences. I mean, you talk about like, oh, we didn't do Disneyland, but those, I mean, manatees and
Oh, no.
paddling, like, talk about
Yeah.
wealth.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
you realize that now, and I guess
Right.
I didn't fully comprehend it. Like, then when I was older and it was like you're in middle school and kids are like, "Oh, you've never been to Disney?" And I was like,
Yeah,
I think
you.
we ended up going one time because somebody had a ticket, and it wasn't the bracelets and all the stuff now, it was just like, "Oh, my friend had this ticket, you can have it," because nobody's name's on it. It was very different,
Yeah.
and I remember going, I don't know, years later and then being like, "Yeah, I'm good. I like the camping and the paddling and the snorkeling and all of that." So then I didn't really think I was missing out. It was more that people were telling me I was missing out, and I was like, I don't think that." And then the older you get and you go, "Wow, my parents were
Yeah.
cool. Like, they had me doing
Yeah,
all
you're
that
like,
stuff."
wait,
Like,
there's
yeah,
more to middle school. Wait, like worldly
yeah,
Yeah.
experiences, like other places that's not just a movie. Like, yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
I
amazing.
mean,
and
it
they
shows
supported it. Mhm.
that's awesome. I mean, it shows like if you're able to, if you're like privileged enough to as a kid to have all those different experiences, how it can affect, your
Mhm. Yeah.
just your
Well,
adulthood.
taking it and then you're just taking it into the classroom as far as, like, the Sharks for
Mm.
Kids work, though, right? Because some people have things in their backyard. Some people live in Florida and they don't see a manatee, or they live in Hawaii and they don't know how to swim, and so there's, like, taking advantage of what you do have around you, and then also being introduced these days with internet, and it's crazy, and we're so visually, like, but then still constantly, like, the impact of a shark and the impact of
Mhm.
a video where a shark's not, like, in a tornado or eating a human with, like, Jaws
Yeah.
style, like, so really cool. Giving birth, having an umbilicus, like, it's
Yeah.
wild. It's super
Yeah,
important.
yeah, and I think now as being a parent and seeing my daughter, what she gets to see and do,
Mm.
and I think it's also one of those things, it doesn't take, like, it's not something as far as a lot of dollars to do it. It's just the time as a parent to want to share that. And being in the Bahamas, yes, we do have access to it, and that's part of, like, my husband and I were on the water a lot, and so we wanted to share that with her. But just seeing her joy and excitement too, and seeing kids love that it's you, like, you're showing them real things, and you're showing them you in the moment, and even just like a photo, "Is that you diving with the shark?" And it's like,
Mhm,
"Yeah, it
mhm.
is." And so in helping them realize what's possible as well,
Yeah.
you don't have to be a kid from a certain place to have access to this. And I also think those kids that are in landlocked places, I love doing programs. I love talking to them, the video, everything that we can do, because they need to have access to the ocean too, in whatever form we can give it to them, because it's for all of us. The ocean, we all need the ocean. The ocean needs all of us, no matter where we live. And so, which, we could do an entire conversation about that, but it's
Blue
just really
planet.
getting
Whoop,
kids.
whoop.
Yeah, it affects all of us,
Exactly, it
even if you live
does,
in
Spherical
right?
blue
Kansas.
planet.
Yeah, and getting kids excited, and helping them see the weird, the wonderful about sharks, not just the
Mm.
teeth. Teeth are important. We
Yes,
mentioned
yes.
that,
Yeah, we all
but
started out with teeth. It's the
we
most
dived into the
notable.
teeth. Yeah,
Yeah, it's easy to focus
yeah.
on the. Yeah,
And they're fascinating. The teeth are it's amazing,
yeah,
but
the
getting
jaw,
kids
the
beyond
teeth,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and they can still be excited about that, but realizing it's not
The
monster
teeth is the
mentality. It's
gateway to sharks for.
yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Anyway,
It gets them interested. Absolutely. And helping them understand why those teeth are so important, why they're there, instead of just being like afraid of teeth, but actually
Right.
having a
mm,
chance to understand their importance,
You
and
have
like,
teeth too, like,
yeah, your dog, your
yeah,
cat, we all have,
yeah.
like, teeth are pretty important, and so you start to see that shift of how they're thinking about it, and just getting them excited at whatever age it is.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
They can
I
really
mean,
fill your cup. Oh,
I was just gonna say, like, different facts resonate with different types of people too, right? So,
yeah.
like, growing up, it was always, like, kind of, like, the same 10 facts. Like, this is the biggest one. This is the one that's, like, the most
Yeah.
aggressive,
The
right? Like, this is the one that
fastest.
would win in a fight against a colossal squid.
Yeah.
Those are
But
the 3 Shark Week episodes from, 1990 no.
yeah,
When did it
I
start?
think what was it? It was like the
Shark
most
Week, Shark Fest?
extreme. Do you remember that show in Animal Planet?
Yeah, who would win? Yeah.
It was
We
like
But
had
they
like
would, like
battles. Yeah. They'd look
yeah.
at the adaptations or,
Yes,
yeah,
different things. Yeah.
I remember this.
bringing back some memories.
Which you can do. You can talk about that. I mean, they're a predator. One of the things I never shy away from is they're not pets. They're not like these, they're
Right,
predators. They're wild
right.
animals. And you can love sharks and still appreciate what they're capable of and their place, their role. And I
Mhm.
don't ever sugarcoat that. I don't tell people that bites, oh, that never happened. They do. They're rare. I really
Yes,
focus on the rare and trying to give information. But the reality is these are predators. They're perfect
Mhm.
predators designed to be. And so I don't think we have to hide that, but I
right.
think we need to teach respect and how to be
Yes.
around that and educate ourselves and also
Recognize and
remove
stay
that
aware.
ocean is ours. So I should be able
Mm.
to go there and I shouldn't this ownership of the ocean. It's not our home. We're lucky we get to go there, but we always kind of give that side of the story, I think, is for kids to
Good.
understand. It's an amazing place. We're so fortunate we can even spend a moment there, but it is not ours.
Mm.
Right. That makes
That's
me
so true.
that's yeah, I think of that the kind of image where it's like people try to put the human at the top of the little pyramid, almost like the food group pyramid, but they try to be like humans are at the top and then the reality is the whole ecosystem, right? Because even as you're saying of anyone that's landlocked or so far from the ocean, it's still just like the driving climate force of our entire planet. So
Mhm.
low key and like yeah, sharks are
Carbon sink.
predators. You don't have it's like we've decimated all of our land terrestrial predators pretty well. So let's learn from those terrestrial mistakes like forestry and replanting coral, but I digress. I love what you do. I love what you do, Jillian. Thank you for filling that gap and delivering because you're also on Shark Week and Shark Fest and tied to kind of the annual shark celebration, right? But to be able to then deliver that on a regular basis to classrooms or it's actually with a student is really cool.
Yeah.
Admirable work.
Thank you. I feel really lucky to do it and I love it. And yeah, I think it's just really cool to find something that you're like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest, as long as I'm able to do it. I want to do this for the rest of my
Mhm.
life. And now getting to share it with my daughter, and she really understands what Sharks for Kids is. And she went on a field trip with us on Saturday, and
Woo!
she was the youngest, all the way kids up to 17. It was so fun, and she's right in there, and so it's really cool to take her to work, right? That's her, she's going to work with mom and dad, and we all went, and it was so fun. And so now getting her to be part of Sharks for Kids, which I never even dreamed of when I started it, is really like just kind of connecting me to it in a deeper way and realizing just how important and amazing this work is and how much I believe in it. And it's what I want to be doing. And I feel very lucky to do it.
I love that. And so you're doing education, but you guys also still do a lot of research as well. I know we ran into each other in Turks and Caicos a few years ago.
Yeah. So one of the things about creating your own space, or your own job is you have the ability to pursue things. And we were in Turks and Caicos and actually got approached about starting a project. And so, because my husband and I both have a lot of lemon shark research experience in the Bahamas and Florida, and they had a lot of them there. And there was talk of kind of a sanctuary and it wasn't going through. And so we were talking about actually getting data, and so the project developed the idea of it, and we said, right, if we're going to do this, though, it has to be community driven and it has to have kids. Like we're taking kids in the field. We'll get the data, but this has to be a big part of it. And so, yeah, being able to create your own research project in a way that is supporting like management and policy and the data's and also just supporting like we know a lot about lemon sharks in Florida and the Bahamas, but does it match that? Are we seeing differences? Which site does it compare to? And so kind of that part of it, but then getting so many kids in the field to actually join us and measure sharks and tag sharks. And so now we're hoping that they understand that this is for them too. They can pursue a career in marine science. They can pursue a career that's ocean based. Maybe it's, the captain on the boat is also a marine biologist. Maybe that's what you want to do. And so they're meeting all these people from different backgrounds, somebody from fisheries, somebody from the permitting department. And so, yeah, I think
The
that
full
makes it
network.
really special. Yeah, and so it is the community is involved with it, and the students, a lot of them are afraid, and then they see a baby shark, and they do this, and then they're excited, and when you get teenagers excited about something and smiling, like, huge on a boat, you're like,
You're
you're
like,
cool, like,
"Slay."
you've
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're so,
The Riz.
Or whatever
yeah,
the
and even
kids say these
here
days.
yeah, I know, and even here in Bimini, like, the kids are all like I was walking at the school for something else, and they were like, "Are we doing summer camp again?" And these are 16, 17-year-olds that are like, can I do the camp? Are we doing the camp?" And I was like, "Yep, the camp's happening." And so, yeah, it's just like it's so cool, to have teenagers think you're cool and wanna do the thing that you're helping them do, and I was like but it just shows that you're connecting at all levels, like, this is and so that's been yeah, so that part of me that really loves science and research and answering questions and just satisfying my own curiosity and pursuit of knowledge and continuously learning and also being a student myself. The research kind of fills that. I get to do it with my husband, which is also really amazing. You know, he's a marine biologist who now spends most of his time behind a camera for TV shows. And, you know, we've added acoustic tagging to it. So now we've added this whole other complex level and yeah, it's really amazing to be able to have that as part of and it's part of Sharks for Kids. I don't have to do it separate. It is part of it, and getting kids in the field is just it's the best part of it for me. It's my favorite part. It's what I think is the most important, honestly, and I just again feel like so lucky to be able to create these opportunities for students.
Yeah, I
But
hear
you've
you. It's
you've
like
really
my
built it.
favorite.
Yeah, because you've been in Bimini now, like, you didn't just start in Bimini, and you have your master's degree, and so, like, building this has all been a journey as well. Can you expand a little bit more just how it's changed even as far as, like, when you were first introduced to shark behavior, like, people are like, "What? Sharks have behavior?" Or just as a woman in this space today, or how the industry you've seen, because since you're just, like, such a player in the industry that I'm like, "Share your insights with us, Jillian." Like,
So how do we become you is
y
basically what you're
or
asking.
yeah, yeah, like, and just, like, it's yeah, we've been in the industry for a minute, but, like, yeah, I'm always interested to learn more too, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely evolved a lot. When I first started, I was whether I was diving or doing research, it was pretty much men, right? So the only woman on the boat, and I was told by a lot of people, like, "You can't work with sharks. You can't do that. That's not for you." And I am very stubborn, and when someone tells me I can't do something, that just really fires me up that I'm gonna do it now, if nothing else, just to prove you wrong.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I
I
just
can, I will.
Mm.
and I was lucky to have, I think, a family that supported me, but also some mentors along the way that were not like, "Don't listen, just yeah, just don't." And I
Yeah.
struggled. Like, I mean, I remember when I went to play basketball at school and my advisor was like, "Yeah, we don't really have any classes for that." I was like, "Okay." Like, "Okay." And he was just so uninterested, so just didn't care. And I went, "Oh, okay." And that was really why I kind of reached like I did not get my internship through school. Nobody I found that because there was nobody in that space that was like, "Hey, here's some options you might want to be interested in." And then another internship I got was a girl that was in one of my animal behavior classes sitting next to me and was like, "My cousin owns a research boat. We do shark research all the time. You want to apply for an internship?" I was like, "Yes, I do."
Mm.
And so yeah, and so it was kind of like I think I'm not saying it wasn't the access to it wasn't as easy. There just wasn't the same access on the internet and access and there wasn't like
Right.
specific pages now for here's a list
Yeah.
of internships on
Sharks for
Instagram.
wasn't
Yeah.
around yet.
Yeah, and all these phenomenal resources that exist now that I mean just so much
But
support and help
and still yet though, that lesson in, like, creating your opportunity and or
Mhm.
making the most of
Building your
those
network.
networking
yeah,
Yeah.
connections are
those still
still
ring
super
true. Yep.
applicable.
Absolutely, and I think especially as I'd love to say 20 years later, it's a lot different.
Uh-huh.
It's not. I mean, women are still being challenged. Women are still, I feel,
Oh,
in
yeah.
some situations, have to do better, do more to be taken seriously. And so even if you're whatever your level of expertise, knowledge, whatever, with your male colleague, you're still going to have to be,
Mhm.
further up. And so I think that still exists. And I definitely think, it's still prevalent. In fact, like when I talk to my friends that are in the marine science space, none of us can say, "Oh, I've never had an issue with a man either." Like do it, like saying this to me, making me uncomfortable, making me think like I couldn't do something. So it's
Yeah.
not, I'm not alone in that, which is sad. It's also like,
That's
okay,
womanhood and
I'm not
even
alone,
out
right?
here.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I think for all of us, we've dealt with that. And so if if I can do something that makes it easier for the next generation to climb, right? You
Mhm.
know, what is it? Lift as you rise. You don't put
Mm,
the ceiling below
The high
you.
tide raise all boats.
Yeah. And so that's what you do for
and it
others. And so I feel like when I get to mentor students or have students that are, now doing I love that. I think that's amazing. Or supporting other women who are on their same journey and path. Like, let's support each other. I don't need to fight with you. Like, it's hard enough.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
let's support each other. And I think sometimes that's not happening either. And I think that's really,
right.
really sad. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying you have to be best friends with everybody, but I also think if you've worked hard to get there, there's space for all of us, right? And so, yeah, I think we're still facing a lot of that, and we're going to
Mhm.
continue. Has some things, absolutely, yes, it's evolved, it's gotten better. Certain things, our access to information, and all of that, but there's still a long way to go. It's not
I
like,
mean,
oh wow, everything's nice and even and easy now. No, we're not there yet.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday kind of about this, a man, shock horror. And somebody who I'd like spoken to 2 or 3 years ago when he was doing like some media with me when I was a master's student here at URI. And now he and I ran into each other and we were like, oh, like let's just sit down and have lunch together and catch up. And so he was saying like, "Oh, like, you seem to be doing all this stuff like on your own. Like that's amazing. Like that's like so admirable. Like there's a lot of people around here who I'm sure would like love to hear about what you're doing." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm telling people what I'm doing." But I've also learned at this point, I'm 32, I've been in the game long enough that like if I don't do it on my own, it's
yeah.
not going to happen how I want it to happen. And if I reach out again to specific people, won't go where I need it or want it to go. And I've also like just gotten burned. Like if I don't own this
Yeah.
100%, which is like toxic as well, right? Like you need to be able to reach out for help. It's
Yeah.
self-preservation, but also like I mean it's different also when you're in your thesis, right? As opposed to like trying to
Yeah.
start a business like Sharks for Kids. But he was saying, so then I explained to him like this is kind of like why I've been a little bit quieter the last few years, at least at URI, because I've just gotten burned and I just need to get this done, you
Now we're
know?
pivoting to like
And
academia.
well, I mean, but a lot of this has to do with every single person that I can think of, except for like one, who's the reason that I've had to become this way is because I'm a man. And I'm not
Hey.
necessarily saying that men are the problem, but they are the ones in power right now. And so the organizations or whatever that I've had issues with, or just like haven't gotten the support that I needed at the time, have all been run by men. And again, even if a woman were running it could have still been the same problem. But he said to me, he's like, well, that's just like not your responsibility. And I said, no, 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 you're right. It's not my responsibility to fix them. That's why I'm doing my own thing. But it is my responsibility to like call it out because it's the next generation. And so like once I feel like I can like be in a point where I can start calling it out more, I'm no longer under
Hmm.
an advisor or like associated with the university or whatever. And it was like watching his face like, oh, it's interesting. I guess maybe. And I was like, I'm not responsible for
Yeah.
their behavior,
No.
No.
but I am responsible for like my behavior. And it's important to me to open up spaces and like
Yeah,
I don't want to be this
absolutely.
trailblazer who takes all the shit, but I do want to make sure that I'm leaving the place better than when I came there.
For
Yeah.
sure. And that's a
Isn't it
weight too,
interesting?
because it's
Mhm.
tricky because we've all dealt with people, right? And depending on what you do, I had access to data removed. I was the PI on a project, removed, right?
Mm.
I don't talk about it. I went on,
Yeah, yeah.
okay? Because it's also sometimes I think if you're a woman, then it's like you're petty or something, like it's just a
100%.
weird you're oh well you can't. And so I think a lot of times you just go, okay, right, I'm doing my own thing because this happened, but if I make a big deal of it, am I like I don't know,
that
sometimes it's really
becomes
hard. Then you're
Yeah,
defined by
100%.
that,
yes,
Happened
right?
to me a
And
few
yes,
months ago.
so, and
yes,
then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so then I don't want that thing to define me, but
right.
it was
It's
really
a risk.
crappy that it happened. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I also I'm also not one, I'm not gonna
focus
publicly
on,
blast people. I'm not,
yeah,
but I know what happened, and I'm also going to from it and let it shape me and also shape how I encourage others to approach things maybe differently. I don't believe you got to go on. I took the high road, went on, but that was also made me go, okay, I have to figure this out. I need to do this on my own, or I need to definitely do this with people I trust, or have some other parameters put in place. And I think that happens in the science space, not just for women. I mean, it happens all over.
yeah.
But would that person have done it if I was a man? Would
If
it
you were
have
your
gone down the
husband, for
same way?
example, or
Yes.
something like
Yeah.
Well,
that,
in this
because
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
case,
in the
he was
same
involved too.
spheres.
He was
Well,
though, and he
okay,
was involved. So
okay, yeah.
it's a weird space, but maybe if it had just been him, like I don't
Mm.
Yeah.
know what would have
You
happened.
never, yeah,
But
you don't know, but
you get burned and then you have
right,
to learn from it. And instead
Mhm.
of that person being like, ooh, that's not okay, you have to pivot and figure out how that doesn't happen again, how you
right,
take action and maneuver. And I think women have to do that all the time. Like we have to, and
yeah,
Mhm.
it's not just the
Mhm.
science space. I think it's actually how we have to manage a lot of things. And
yeah.
so
Your
it
risk
just
mitigation is like,
right, yeah. And
Mhm.
then
yeah,
how do I share that with people so
Right.
that younger other people that they don't fall into the same mistake? Like what things can they put in place that I've learned so that doesn't happen to them? I think that's what,
Yeah.
trying to move forward and share that. And again, mentor, help, support in a way that, you know, we learned that lesson. I would like others to not have to have that happen. So what can I do
yeah.
to support them or help them to, what are some red flags or things like
The
that?
Mhm.
And I
awareness,
think
yeah,
that
to share,
Yeah,
and
it's
yeah.
even
it's such a predatory, like, place to be though sometimes because we talked about this in the past, like, a lot of people have to take, like, these unpaid internships
mm.
or, like, social media is, like, weirdly becoming, like, really important now some to your research, especially, like, communicating it, and so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's very difficult, I think, or uniquely difficult in this sphere because you like, as a younger person coming in, you need to have these internships or these
Right.
experiences, but
Mhm.
you have a higher chance of getting taken advantage of because of that, because you're really in this vulnerable place, male or female.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so competitive, right? The ocean space and
Mhm.
then sharks, right? Sharks are sexy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing
sharks
is like
are the new
it's
dolphins.
they are. And so everybody, when
They're
students
better.
will say to me, I want to work with sharks, I'm like,
Hmm.
start thinking about what you want to do. Don't just say to me, I want to work with sharks. I want to do this. Be specific. Find out
Mhm.
what I want to work with, blue shark behavior. I want to look at fishery. Be as specific as you can. Gain broad knowledge, gain broad experiences, but you
Mhm.
can't walk in and just go, I want to work with sharks.
And
It's
like
not going to work.
Yeah, yeah.
I tell people too to like you want to like what are your skill sets? What are your like tools? What is
Mhm.
available to you to be able to like build and or connect? Because yeah, we're all, everyone's making their calculated decisions and their pathway, and we're supposed to all be doing unique strategies. There's not a one path to follow to get, even if you have it well defined, like, and then across the, genders and age and race is like these battles of injustices, and it's like what all that we're sounding feminist, which because it's like the point is to be equal. The point is
Right,
Mhm.
to
right.
be equal. And so the point is not to like I
Well,
think
that's
people
the science.
misunderstand. Yeah, but if you're not a woman or it's not meant to be like get rid of all the men and throw them on Mars, right? Or get rid of all these people that are throwing but it's like let's all recognize that we're all rising together and
Mhm.
we're creating more opportunity when we're working together and we're like sharing, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's wild that people can be, whatever created their psyche to be predatory or cruel or deceiving or like yeah,
Yeah.
putting others down, putting other people that it's like what the fuck you, man. Like like there's room, they got a whole fucking planet, let's just chill, let's stop being rude.
We need
Sea
diverse
bags.
voices for all of
Yeah.
this. Like all of these
Mhm.
voices, the more different voices, different backgrounds, different skills, different knowledge that we can bring to the table, the more problems we're going to solve,
Because
right?
we
And the
build the
more
perspective.
exactly, and that's missing. And so I think, part of Sharks for Kids too is we always, we have volunteers and we're always trying to figure out ways to give them building skills. What kind of skills do you want? Trying to figure out options for them, because that's also part of it. It isn't just simply teaching kids, but it's also our team. What kind of skills do they want to build? And
Mhm.
I think that's in part of like making sure there are pathways and opportunities to kind of help in ways that maybe we didn't find or we didn't have. And just trying to do better and leave it better, right? And so I think creating more access, and a lot of the things that we're trying to give access to are for kids, but I also want, our team members, if they want to build field skills, and I certainly, maybe they can't always do it with us because we don't do a ton of research, but guess what? Here are these 5 phenomenal programs that you should look into.
Hmm.
I'm happy to give you a reference. Like these are things, and try and
Guidance.
find the
Mhm.
guidance. And we actually have monthly webinars for our team that have different speakers, just for our team, to try and give them knowledge,
Huge.
skills, different opportunities.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, and
She's
we
doing
just
it.
started that, and I love it. I love it because I'm learning stuff too. We have a volunteer that's did his research on prehistoric sharks, primarily Megalodon, right? And so the
Cool.
stuff he shared was so fascinating because I don't know a lot about prehistory. That wasn't my area of focus.
Totes.
And now it's learning, and also letting people know, yeah, you don't know everything. I always want to be a student. I always want to learn and learn more, and
Yeah.
I love that.
How healthy of you.
Yeah, and so I think just kind of also it's okay to say you don't know everything, letting go of the ego, right? And I think and saying, wow, there's space for learning, there's space for collaboration, there's space for growing and doing all this, and trying to make that accessible in ways that maybe I didn't have it, and I certainly know that women in my generation, or just the next one, didn't necessarily have as well. So how can we do better and not go, well, I didn't have that, so I'm not gonna give back.
Right. Right. You got to go through that
The old
sacrifice, or
academic.
you've got to feel those.
Women
It's
did
like
that
every,
before us with everything, like it's
but it's
no
like
different than
no one can
yeah.
ever be in a padded room for, I mean, maybe, well, but like you will face your sacrifices. You will face your injustices because we're human. Like,
Mhm.
it will be health. It will be what, so it's like, why contribute? Why make it any fucking harder? Like we're
Well, just
Mhm.
going,
why make it harder
Exactly.
to get the work done? Like, if
Yeah.
you really care about the work, right, and the final output of your student or your colleague or
Mhm.
whomever,
Yeah.
why are you, like, making it harder?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, it's
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yep.
That's so cool though too, even just like going back and like creating space for kids and alternative avenues, and the guidance is huge because it's like kids are important too. So when we're kind of like going across, like, we're speaking on gender inequalities and things, but it's like also kids need a space to grow, and they need it to feel important, and they need to be able, like, right? So like, yeah, I think it's cool. I think this conversation and the work that you do is really important. Well, it's just, and it's not being done. It's like it's we mentioned it in a previous conversation about like it is important, right, to science now to have a social media presence, to have an outreach presence or an inreach,
Yeah.
depending on how you're looking at it. But it's like it's not just a tick box, but to actually create a valuable, and then to have those resources to share. I think, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and
just repeat
understand
myself
that
again.
social media is a tool, right? It is. But it's not
100.
the only thing, and I think, like, I know some phenomenal shark scientists that are not on social media, they're not
Yeah,
active
Totes.
there,
you
and
don't have
so
to be
now but
there.
it's tricky, I think, though, in the world we live in, if you're not there, it's like everyone's so focused on that, so there is a lot of pressure to have that, and
Mhm.
to and I know, like, I've gotta post on my page, I've got like, we have somebody that does most of the Sharks for Kids stuff, but for the first 10 years, I did both, and it's a lot. Like, I was just like, I can't,
It's an
I'm
added
burned out.
responsibility.
It is, because you feel the and also sometimes your funders, you're required to do it for some stuff, like X amount of photos, X amount of this,
Sure.
and so
Your
you're
partnerships
required
and
to, to create that. And so, but I think it's important for people to remember that just because it's not on social media, it doesn't mean it's not happening, and that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not super important work. And I think we live in a time now that people, if you're on social media, then you must be you must be this, you're the expert, you're this. And it's actually, no, the expert in that field isn't ever on social media. And so it's a weird space. And so I think also younger generations are dealing with that too. And I didn't have to, have my whole life on social media as a teenager and in my early
Yeah.
20s, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm thankful.
Right.
And then I'm
Same.
thinking about, oh my gosh, like, what's it going to be like, at that stage. So I'm thankful I didn't have to
Or
do
just
that, because
cameras
that's an added
everywhere.
pressure.
Yeah.
Everything is
It's like on top
documented
of
all the time, and you have to, what you're eating, where you're
cell
going, all these
phones and
things.
fucking
And all this stuff, and that pressure. So we're talking about how, like, okay, something might have been harder during as we were coming
Yes.
up, but
Yeah,
now
totally.
there wasn't that pressure
Yes.
that now
There
people
will
have, and
always
there
be
be
injustices. We
something
will
else, right?
Yeah, hardships are just natural. Yeah.
And who has access to it, right?
Absolutely. Access is huge. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Well,
Should we-
Jillian, I would love to hear your your chum diary story. If you're ready to
Alright.
share one of
I
your
am.
wildest, craziest.
Okay, I think, and this one, gets a lot of strange reactions when I tell people this.
Perfect.
So
We love strange.
yes, one of my first projects I worked on post my moat internship, I got to go to the Dry Tortugas and work with Dr. Jeff Carrier. May he rest in peace. He was a phenomenal mentor, nurse shark biologist. So having a love for nurse sharks, and I wrote my first children's book, Norman the Nurse Shark. Jeff did the forward for it. He checked it, and it was just a really special thing. So I got to go out with him and Mike Heighthouse and the Critter Cam crew from National Geographic. And
Very cool.
we were observing mating nurse sharks from a tower. And then when they would get in the act, you would go, watching. Yep.
Penetration,
And-
full penetrate. One clasper or two.
Yes. And absolutely
amazing.
watching for that, because there's a lot of failed attempts. There are.
Sure.
And then we would go. I wasn't on the net, but like Wes and Jeff and Mike, because it was also Wes Pratt working as well, because he and Jeff's project. And Mike was there because he was hosting Critter Cam at the time and coming out. And so they would net them and put a camera on one and hope that they would go back to continue mating so that it could be documented. And so I was like,
Don't mind us here.
I think a junior in university. Like, I think the first time I went, so summer after, and I'm like, we're gonna do what? And so watching this and then going down and collecting the sperm. So I have had shark sperm.
They're
on me.
like, that's
I've had it in
Jillian's
vials
job.
on the tape. Yeah, and so just being in there and doing that, and so people are like, what? You had what? I was like, yeah. And you did what and watch. So not the grossest thing, right? But just one of those things that really stops people in their tracks when you're like, so shark sperm.
Not the grossest thing.
Yes. So, I think dissecting a dead whale, that smell is, there's nothing that smells like that. So, but that's not sharky. But so I don't know. I just think that, that was, and being like so young and fresh in the field and like, we're doing what? And also getting to see sharks mating, because I don't know how many people have actually gotten to, and I've seen it multiple times with our sharks. So yeah, it's exactly. We had binoculars. We did. We were on the tower because they were color coded. They were tagged with color coded tags. So we were like, I still remember there was sunrise and sunset.
So you guys went out, you tagged them ahead of time. How did you know to be there at the right time and in the right tower?
Because
there must have been so much work that went into this ahead of time.
Well, we know that because Jeff and Wes had been doing it for 30 years, right? They pioneered. I think you think of like some of these people who really, like Eugenie Clark on her research,
Mhm.
Doc Gruber, Wes and Jeff, kind of the things we know about shark mating. I don't know if this was the first observation of any mating shark, but it was pretty close to that, right? And so,
Everything we Google today about sharks, like,
yeah, these were the people who were on the front lines and just creating how you actually research sharks, right? And it
right.
wasn't
Yeah.
that, oh, we know, like I go out to do lemon sharks. I know how to do an acoustic tag and pit tag. I know that that's what we're going to use. They were just figuring it out, and the technology
Right.
wasn't there, and just doing all this. And yeah, it was observational. So all the adults were caught. They were had been tagged. Some of them come back year after year, and then figuring out, do the females come back every other year, which males come back every year. And so we could ID them visually, because if you just see a nurse shark fin, you're not going to go, oh, that's Jim. You don't
Right,
know.
right.
You have to have some sort of color ID, and they're going in such shallow water that you could see the colors. And so it was just
Yeah,
really
that's
That's
eye-opening.
awesome.
Yeah,
they're
but
Yeah.
all
people are like,
green
well,
now. They're 2D.
yeah, and then wait, we're gonna put a
Yeah.
camera on them and hope they go back at
So
it
did
so we
you
can
guys get the
film it.
footage?
I don't think they ever. I think once you break it up, I think they got it later years because
Once
it
you break.
continued on. But once you kind of ruin the moment, I mean, not necessarily, but he might go with a different female, and then, or the female has the camera and now the male's gone. Well, I'm going to go over here and attempt to, and it's really
That's so
fascinating to see.
science, like,
Yeah, the males have
them
their
real
plan.
quickly and hope nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and then the females have all these avoidance maneuvers, and yeah, and I don't know if you've watched it. It's pretty brutal. Like, it does make you go, whew. Yeah, I mean, for people who don't know, the males actually physically bite on very hard, and nurse sharks have extreme suction power. So they are latching on the noise, the crunching on the fins. I will never forget that,
That's
to
gnarly.
flip the female to then insert one clasper, and just the
Like,
maneuvering. And you think of it, the physics of sharks. It's like, it's
Right.
not. There is no romance at all.
So
It
is
is.
that why you think they go shallow? Because it's just like they're not falling for as long.
Yeah, well, there's not. Yeah, and I think leverage, right? And I
Right,
think
yeah,
the
yeah.
females are
the
also
seabed.
the females are
Yeah.
going into a void, right? Too, they're going into certain areas, and but then I think it probably does make it faster, right? They are not falling, and it's, I would assume it's got to give the females some sort of advantage too, like in their decision making process. Especially if they can maneuver more or something, and then also maybe they're going up in the shallows because they know it's gonna, and it is, all
Right.
of that. I'm sure, I don't remember, like, off. I don't know if they've actually analyzed that. Like, there's a specific reason, but it's certainly, this was a shallow area that they were going in and doing it. So it was amazing to see. Like, but very young, very like, what? This is one of the first things
This is
I've
field
ever
work?
worked on with sharks, and
This is how
this is
baby
what we're
sharks are
doing.
made.
Yeah, and it was just fascinating, but also like,
Yeah.
what is happening? We're doing what? And how did I get here? I'm not really like, yeah. So it was,
Nice.
yeah, it was really cool.
I have
It was
never
really
seen
interesting.
I've never seen sharks mating. I've seen pictures
Yeah.
from and I've
Yeah.
seen like pre-mating displays with Galapagos
Mhm.
sharks and all the dives on North Shore Oahu, but
Yeah.
never the act. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't need to. I'm like, it's okay.
it's intense. It's intense. I don't think a lot of people realize just how,
Mm.
I don't know if violent's the right word, but just how like, I don't know. I don't
Sharks
know what.
are hardcore.
Powerful.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really intense. And
Mm.
that's the only species I've seen, so I don't know if it's the crunching because of the suction and the teeth. Because it's definitely the teeth too, because you
Yeah.
see the
Sounds
scars
like
on these
it.
females,
oh
and
yeah,
sure, people can, you look up, mating scars on females, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh yeah,
ooh, looks
Yeah,
like she's
bites.
been through the wars.
yeah. They're
And
ripped flesh and fucking.
Well, that's why females
know,
have thicker skin, right? Like,
yeah,
and thicker skin around their pectoral fins for that exact reason, because somehow evolution said, okay, well, let's give you a little more, cushion
Yeah.
in that area.
Well, you gotta survive,
that we
so
Yeah, you have to
just barely.
spread to actually make the
what can we
babies.
do
Yeah.
to make this so that you don't, lose a fin or
And you gotta do it again and again
and again
after
and again.
you
Yeah.
heal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
This is why sexual segregation happens.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
so yeah. So shark sperm.
So did you do anything with the sperm?
Reproduction war.
But I'm sure they were looking at something. I mean, at that stage, I was so new and I wasn't necessarily involved in all of those conversations
Right.
about what the idea was. If I'm sure they were looking at, we had a geneticist with us too. And so,
Interesting.
family trees and all of that interesting stuff with shark DNA. So that was kind of my first exposure to that as well. Like we're looking at the breeding population and
Paternity.
paternity as well. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know that in certain species, I don't know if it's all species or not, but I know at least in some species that in a litter there can be multiple fathers. We've seen it in our lemon sharks. Lemon sharks have been well studied as far as their reproduction, and so yeah, looking at how many fathers. So is she only being mated with once, or is it like 3 or 4? Is it 2? How many times is she?
How many seasons does it take her to realize a strategy to
Avoid.
survive her reproductive?
Yeah. And so
So they're having fewer babies when they're older just because they're better at hiding.
yeah.
They can mate with one. They're like, take him to this dark corner. There's only one male.
Yeah. And it's
Then I can eat him afterward.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
well,
Just kidding.
there was
Sometimes.
A nurse shark at an aquarium that I visited that she did rip a
Yeah.
clasper off one of the male.
I've
Good for
seen
her.
uniclaspies. I've seen sharks with
Uniclasps?
unidicks. Yeah, you're like, no way.
They called him
Yeah.
Uno after that, but they
Nice.
went off.
I'm sure he
lived
deserved
on. Well,
So
I'd also could do for a snack right about now.
yeah,
All at
and
once.
she's like, I think they said she was like 35. She'd been in like 5
Bobbit.
aquariums. She was almost purple.
She's over it.
Just like, and she just sat. There was a bubbler in the thing, and she was just like sitting on it, just like, I'm here. Leave me alone.
Just want to
I was
breathe.
like, this is why I also love nurse sharks. Like, she's just, they're like the honey badgers of the ocean, honestly. They're tough. They don't care. They're in with the hammerheads, the tigers.
Personal
They just don't care.
idiosyncrasies. They
Yeah.
do just are
They are. They
butts
just-
around.
and they don't give the attention and love
They're
they
meddlers.
deserve. They do.
Oh yeah, they're not
Love
the.
a
Yeah, they're
Nursey.
not the. It's like hammerhead, white shark, tiger shark, bull shark.
Right.
Sure, it's a tail, and
500
everyone's like-
species, whatever.
They're like, I saw a nurse shark. That's not a shark. I've had people say, oh, that's not a shark. It's still a shark. They're awesome.
You put your
Yeah.
hand
Yeah,
there.
put your
Keep
hand-
diving
yeah,
in the
exactly.
piles. You'll get one. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So I
Social
will
media shows.
So I love my deep seas.
Love nurse
Yeah.
sharks.
Well, thank you for regaling us with your shark reproduction wars, shall we say. Well, I would love to give you like a space to, if you have any papers or like tell us your website, your
Projects.
Instagram, things like that to share so people can go and find you and your work.
And follow along.
Awesome. Yes. So our website is www.sharksforkids. It's the number 4.com. And we are Shark Education on Instagram, Sharks for Kids on Facebook, and I'm Bimini Shark Girl on Instagram. So I do.
Yay!
I'm on TikTok too. I have a love-hate relationship. I try. Like I
try and then I get busy.
I still haven't ever opened it.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, okay, and then I gave up on the Sharks for Kids. We have one. We tried. I was like, if anyone wants to do this, I just don't. And so,
You'll get an intern here off of this episode.
Yeah.
now.
Exactly.
Yes, we need
but
Yeah.
get the place for it. We only have so much capacity and bandwidth for stuff, and so probably,
That's good to be human.
yeah, it is.
I had a few summers ago, I had a bunch of college age interns and I like wrote tasks for like the day on a board. And one of the things was like start a TikTok, but I spelt it TICKTOCK. This was like literally 3 or 4 summers ago. And the
This-
kids were like, are you trolling us? I'm like, what? This is your task for the day.
You're like, yeah.
So at the end of the summer, they got me as a thank you a sweatshirt, but it was Patrick Star because for the rest of the summer, they called me Patrick because I lived under a rock.
No.
And
Oh, that's cool though. Patrick Star. It could be worse.
Yeah,
I could do
I mean, yeah.
SpongeBob references.
so, yeah, TikTok.
Nobody
Yeah.
Spanish.
If anyone wants to take mine over.
Yeah,
we're
I know.
happy.
I should have it, right? We should have it. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
right, trying to keep up with it. It's a lot. There's some, and then Blue
a
Sky's
lot.
out now. This and this, and then
Yeah, Blue
Twitter's
Sky.
out, right? And so we don't. Yeah,
So many platforms.
yeah,
Yeah, with all my free time as a PhD student.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't. And then I forget about it too. And I was like, oh shoot, yeah. There's a lot to try to balance. But those are probably Instagram and the website are the best. And if people want to email me, they can email me through the website too. It's all in there. So
Nice. Morris, everybody. Whoop. Thank you so much, Jillian, for sharing all of your knowledge and experiences with us on this episode today. We're super stoked to wrestle you in with all of our schedules, especially just kind of as we get into the summertime rush here. So, yeah, if you guys want to follow along and see Sharks for Kids, the website, the IG handle, and our posts on social media.
thank you guys. Absolutely so much fun chatting with all of you. So thank you so much.